What's going on, everybody? If you're new around here, my name is Josh, and this is JJD TV, and it's a Borussia Dortmund fan channel. But this episode is entirely off topic, and I didn't know whether I should do it or not, and I put a little poll out and got a overwhelmingly yes, do this episode. So that's why we're here, a little off topic, and I hope you guys do enjoy this. But to give you a little background, my girlfriend got me a DNA test from 23andMe at Christmas time, and I was a little skeptical-ish because I thought I knew my background. I was always told that my background was Czech Republic, German, and English. So I didn't know exactly what I would be finding out, and I ended up finding out that I was completely wrong. But before all that, the reason I was kind of curious is because I'm a huge football fan. I'm from Canada, so a lot of you guys already know that and know that football isn't the biggest thing over here, but I like following it worldwide, and when I went backpacking through Europe, I wanted to go see as many different teams as I possibly could. In that time we went, we were able to fit in 3 games, but one was at Wembley, one was obviously seeing Barcelona, and then of course seeing Dortmund as well. So it was pretty incredible seeing that and being able to make different ties to different teams. And that's the beautiful thing about football. Doing this channel, I found out about 50 to 100 different stories of how people fell in love with Borussia Dortmund. You've heard my story about how I fell in love with Borussia Dortmund as well, but that's the beautiful thing about football, is that there's so many different leagues, and I like to follow as many leagues as I possibly can, from the Chinese Super League, MLS, Serie A, and even to some in the Middle East. I mean, I find it's such a beautiful sport, and I like finding the ways players go all over the world playing for these clubs, and I find if I make a little tie to a team, it keeps me to that team, and it keeps me in that league. So any league I follow, I like to pick a team, and I like to make a connection. And on my bucket list, when COVID goes away, I want to go to these places. I want to see these teams play, because that's just how beautiful football is. Borussia Dortmund is my heart, don't get me wrong, but I would like to go all over the world and see as many games as I possibly can. Wait, and you're probably wondering, well, what does that have to do with the DNA test? So, getting the DNA test, I was excited because I wanted to see where my ancestry was kind of from. I thought it was going to be Czech Republic, I thought it was going to be Germany, and I thought it was going to be England. And then I was going to maybe try to figure out exactly where it is so I can go to a game one day and be like, all right, this is where my DNA came from. And for a lot of you guys don't know, the DNA can be very different. So if your sister, for example, your brother, whoever got it, can be different DNA. It's not all the DNA isn't passed down the same from your mother or your father. So everyone's DNA is a little unique and a little special. So I was very curious that I can make a new connection potentially to a club. So this is the strange little story of how I made that connection. So looking at my DNA test, when I finally got it and I finally opened it up, I had a strong feeling that most of my background was European. I was right. I was 99.6% European. That wasn't a shocker there. But to my surprise, looking at the list, Czech Republic wasn't on there. My mom's last name ends in Czech. I won't say it for specific reasons. But I knew that her dad's dad was actually born in Czechoslovakia. So I just assumed, because that was a relatively decent connection to me, that I'd have a good chunk of Czechoslovakian in me. That was my first surprise. It wasn't even on there. Second surprise was that England was second, because I thought if Czech Republic wasn't there, then England must have probably been first, and it was second on the list. So second right there is 39.8% of my DNA is British and Irish. And if you click on that, you can see that it actually breaks down specific cities that your DNA is in. For me, Greater London was up there, as well as obviously Glasgow City, and then you see a nice little one in Greater Manchester as well. But there's a list right there, as you guys can see on screen, of all the places where my DNA is, and you can also see that it shows you exactly how strong your DNA is and the likely evidence of this DNA being in these specific cities. So it's pretty cool. When I clicked on that, I was like, okay, like it now narrows it down to 10. And obviously in that area, Greater London is my highest DNA. So, I mean, you guys do know I do like Chelsea, so, I'm sorry for those of you guys who aren't Chelsea fans, so I thought that was cool. But then the biggest surprise on me, and if I didn't do this test, I would have never figured this out. I was clicking on French and German, specifically trying to obviously figure out where my biggest DNA is from, but I honestly thought I knew. I thought it was German. I know that there is German in my blood. Doesn't mean it's, just because it's in my blood doesn't mean it's in my DNA. So I was assuming that this was gonna be all German. And when I clicked on it, as you guys see, there's one single area on there. and it's from France. And I was absolutely blown away because on my mom's side, my dad's side, everyone I've talked to has told me like, no, these are your backgrounds. I was never heard once France being mentioned. And to my surprise, when I clicked on that, there's France. I'm 56.6% of my DNA comes from France. And I find that absolutely incredible. And I found it even cooler, as you just saw on the previous little picture there, when it showed the British and Irish in me, it had a wide range of different places. So I could obviously go to these different places, but this area had one specific place, and that was Grand Est in France. And I thought that was absolutely incredible. So me being me is having to obviously narrow it down to a club, because if I'm gonna go to France now, you better believe I'm gonna go to that area where my ancestry, my DNA is from, and make a connection to a football club. So the unlikely event that, I mean, COVID ends right away. I mean, that's probably where I'm heading. Obviously Germany for Dortmund, and then I'm heading right over to France. And if you look closer, you see one city there, and that is Strasbourg. And Strasbourg obviously is a club in Ligue 1, the top flight in France. And I just found that absolutely incredible. And me being me has created a tie with that club now, just because that's where my ancestry from. I would never have known that. And now going forward, on my bucket list is to go to France and see this city and see this club play. And I'm not saying they're gonna become my favorite club. I mean, we know that's Borussia Dortmund, but I just found it so cool that I can make a connection through doing this. And I was kind of, like I said, wary at the beginning, but now realize I'm French, by the way. So in case you didn't know that, that's what most of my DNA is. And I was even able to narrow it down to a single club by using this incredible little, I guess, adventure I went on with my family and comparing where we're all from, and I just thought that was so cool. So I hope you guys did enjoy this little off-topic episode, and I mean, I hope you found it interesting. I had no idea that my DNA was French, so there is a little bit of a family member of mine who was adopted, so maybe that obviously came from that side. I don't honestly know. We're gonna hopefully find that out in the future, but it is cool. It's cool not knowing that I was French and figuring it out, and then making a connection to a club, which would be absolutely incredible. And now I have something on my bucket list to go see. So that is our little DNA reveal for Josh from JJD TV being French. So I mean, I know it's not German, which kind of weird, but it is pretty cool nonetheless. And I hope you guys did enjoy this episode. And if you are new around here, be sure to comment, like, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.